Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on a Yorkshire tragedy, and we get to hear from the wife today in scene 3. So in Act 1, scene 1, there's only one act to this play. In scene 1, we learned about the husband and wife through the lens of a couple of their servants, and learned that he is abusive, he's a gambler, he calls his wife a whore, he's a philanderer, all of these sorts of things. In Act 2, we actually got to meet him and see him be a little bit rude to his wife, and we learned that yes, he is in fact a gambler, and he's very much in debt, and he's convinced at this point that he's going to have nothing to leave his children. They're going to end up beggars on the street unless he can get some money real quick, and he decides, oh, I should send my wife to London to sell off her dowry, and then I can use that money. So she goes to take care of that. And a couple of just random gentlemen wander by and are sort of like, maybe you should treat your wife a little bit better. And he doesn't listen to any of them. He gets into a little bit of a duel with the fourth gentleman, who is like, seriously, your wife's a good woman and you should stop running around slandering her. And the husband's like, have at you. And they fight, and the husband gets a little bit injured. And he decides, rather than examine himself, he's going to use this as motivation to try to get revenge on the fourth gentleman who injured him in a duel. So in scene 3, we start off with the wife is returning from London, and she sees one of the servants who's like, well, didn't you sort of know that going in to all of this? And the wife says, I grant I had, but alas, why should our faults at home be spread abroad? 'Tis grief enough within doors. At first sight, mine uncle could run o'er his prodigal life as perfectly as if his serious eye had numbered all his follies, knew of his mortgaged lands, his friends in bonds, himself withered with debt. And in that minute, had I added his usage and unkindness, 'twould have confounded every thought of good. Where now, fathering his riots on his youth, which time and tame experience will shake off, guessing his kindness to me, as I smoothed him with all the skill I had, though his deserts are in form uglier than an unshaped bear, he's ready to prefer him to some office and place at court, a good and sure relief to all his stooping fortunes. 'Twill be a means, I hope, to make new league between us and redeem his virtues with his lands. So what she's saying is she went to London because she was going to talk to her uncle and have her uncle sell off her dowry lands, but her uncle is also in fairly dire straits and didn't want to have to put him in the position of having even less than he already had. So she and the uncle worked out a deal because, she was kind to him. She took care of him for a little while, and they worked out a deal whereby the husband can now have a job at court, because that will mean steady income. He'll be able to provide, he can pay off his debts, he can do all of this other stuff. She's like, this is it, this is what's going to solve it, it's going to solve all of our problems. I got him a job. And the servant's like, well, your husband has to love you now because you did this, isn't that great? At which time the husband comes sort of bumbling in. He's like, you're back, where's my money? I want my money, throw the money on the ground. Seriously, he has like a 6-line thing that he says, and in those 6 lines he says money about 47 times. I didn't count, you're welcome to, but he says money and give me the money a lot in this very short little paragraph. And she's like, actually, I have something better than money for you. And he comes back, he's like, what could possibly be money better than money? And she says, my uncle has a job for you at court, so you can go to court and take this position, and then we'll have a steady income and all of our problems will be solved. And the husband is like, you want me to do what? You want me to take a job and like sit and work all the time? Like, I've dedicated my life to pleasure and you want me to work? You are terrible. You're the worst wife ever. And of course she's going to have to respond in the form of a monologue, which we will hear tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Mwah.